coming up next.
Ed Kalegi and Karen Richmond. This is Chatterbinge.
He has proven himself one of Hollywood's most versatile actors, and right now he is one of its busiest actors as well. He is well remembered for his role as Dr. Sean McNamara in the groundbreaking series Nip Tuck. Currently, he can be seen in the standout supporting role of David Hollander in the HBO series Heated Rivalry, and he is shooting the feature 21 Down. It is great to say hello to Dylan Walsh. Dylan, welcome to Chatterbinge.
Oh, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, it is my pleasure. You have always had a knack of finding yourself in projects that create a stir and a great deal of conversation. And that is again the case with Heated Rivalry, which, for those who may not know, it's the HBO series depicting two male hockey players who become involved in a personal relationship. And your character is the father of one of those players. So, Dylan, why does this show work, and why is it creating the conversation it has?
Well, first of all, I should note that none of us expected this success. When I first got to Toronto and we were shooting, the boys were so good. And Jacob Tierney, who directed it and wrote it, was so bold in depicting their sex life. That, in combination with the fact that the parents are very kind and decent and, I guess you would say, progressive, they don't jump up and down with outrage, right? And that was direction from Jacob, and it's written into the script. I think it's the combination of the audacity and then that it's surrounded with some decency. That has made it palatable for so many more people than I thought it would.
You and I are about the same age, and we come from an era when television was much different, when something edgy was pretty much a 40-year-old guy in a three-piece suit being chased around by three other 40-year-old guys in three-piece suits, and that's as far as it went. But I think about Nip Tuck, and I think about some of the other things, and I think about Heated Rivalry, and I think about the sophistication of episodic television, and we've come a really long way.
We have, and it's not just the television. The audience has become more sophisticated. In fact, you can fail easily now by underestimating the audience. Yeah. They've come along, and they have expectations. And, you know, when your favorite show is Game of Thrones, and then you click the channel, it better be really good on some level, whatever the other thing is. And, yeah, I mean, see, Nip Tuck is a perfect example. You have to give Ryan Murphy the credit there because he caught that right as it was starting. That wave was just starting because plastic surgery had been around, but it had become more accessible to normal people, regular incomes. And so that was genius. And we just rode that wave. Heated Rivalry, again, I think it's the combination. I'm just going to keep going back to that. Not only did they show guys, you know, having sex, it's that it was surrounded with such a decent context.
And it's gotten the hockey seal of approval. Even National Hockey League Commissioner Gary Bettman has come out and said he watches the show and he loves the show. So it's really interesting where we have evolved to and where we are now in the subjects that we can talk about. And you brought up Nip Tuck. Did you know at that time how much of a disruptor that series was? Was it apparent that Nip Tuck was a project then that was so different?
Yes. People always expect me to say, oh, we had no idea.
Yeah.
When I read the script, before I was even cast, I knew this is something special. It's out there. It's still well structured. It's still about characters and their journeys. But this was going to push envelopes, and I knew it from the script. Then when we shot it, yeah, some doubts crept in. Julian and I would wonder if something was going to work, because Ryan had a style and a tone that we were not quite familiar with. I think the world is familiar with his tone now.
Sure.
But at the time, it seemed over the top, what he was asking us to do. But then we saw the pilot, and I knew sitting in Ryan Murphy's house with Julian watching the pilot, I thought, yeah, this will go.
I think about all the things that you've done throughout your career. And when you're seen in as many roles as you are as an actor, how do you build idiosyncrasy and difference into a character so that they are unique and very different in their own way? How do you do that? How do you build a character?
Well, I usually think about the last thing I did that anybody saw. And I think about what would I like to do. I remember coming off Nip Tuck. I was looking for something completely different. And I ended up in a show called Unforgettable. And I played a New York detective. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, this guy's got to walk differently. He's got a different way about him. One of the fun things about Sean McNamara is there was a lot of like just hot air coming out of his mouth,
Yeah.
always saying he's the moral one, but he really wasn't any more moral. Whereas this guy, Al Burns in Unforgettable, I remember thinking, well, first of all, the shoes, just heavier sort of cop shoes, a lower voice, slight New York accent. And I remember embracing all the things that were in contrast to Sean McNamara. Nobody else cared about that, but I did. It was important to me. But yeah, there's a physical aspect to it. Every character is different, and it kind of already starts on the page.
And I think that's wonderful because with so many of the things that you've done, you could actually see that individual texture with each one of those characters. And as we speak, you are currently shooting the feature 21 Down opposite Ashley Judd. Dylan, this has a very interesting storyline. If you would tell us a bit about 21 Down.
Sure. It's on the surface, it's about a kid who has Down syndrome, who is obsessed with football, particularly Ohio State. And he has a dream that he's going to kick field goals for Ohio State. And the way the family handles this, each person a little differently, particularly Ashley Judd's character and my character. She encourages him and lets him have his dreams because she's so used to people underestimating him. This is based on a true story, by the way. And the father that I play loves him and doesn't want to see him get hurt. So he's protective. And really, the part I play needs a little help from his wife to open up the possibilities. Anyway, it's as much about him trying to get onto a football team in college as it's about this family and what families go through when they have a kid with Down syndrome. And it's really well done. It's emotional and a great story. Yeah, we're having fun.
And I would imagine it brings a great deal of creative satisfaction as well when you are doing something that has true creative purpose and meaning, such as a story like this.
From the first Zoom call I did with Sean McNamara, which is funny because that's the character name in Nip Tuck.
Yeah.
We talked about it, and I told him straight up. I said, this script, I want to do this. I love the message here. I love the character, the range, everything about it. But we love the message. And everybody apparently said that when they had their meeting with him. So everybody to a person on this movie believes in this.
You said as soon as you saw it, I want to be a part of this. How often does that happen? So you must be presented with a lot of scripts, a lot of opportunities, and there has to be some sort of Dylan Walsh barometer that tells you whether or not something is right for you. What's the main fulcrum in that barometer? What tells you something is perfect for you to pursue?
Well, it's true. It doesn't happen as often as I'd like that I read a script and I say, yes. A lot of times there's another thinking space, which is, okay, what can I do with this, right? We're going to go through collaboration. We're going to make tweaks and some changes. And what can I do to get this to a place where I'd be excited to be in this? That's usually what I have to do, to be honest. I'm not Brad Pitt. I'm not getting those kinds of offers. But for me, the main thing, two things. Character development. Is it just a guy who's just kind of mouths words and there's no sense of who he is or where he's going in this particular movie? And the second thing is when I read dialogue, because I've been doing dialogue for almost 40 years. Is it all right on the nose? Does everybody in the script say exactly what's on their mind at all times? That's usually because you can't really fix that.
Yeah.
So just those two simple things. And then who is this guy? I don't like every person I play, especially if they're, a serial killer. But that doesn't mean I can't find something about the guy, de-villainize him in some way, at least in my mind, for that role. So a lot of things, I was an English major in college, and I remember a teacher telling me, I said, well, I didn't really like the book. I can't even remember what it was. And she said, well, that's not your job here. Your job is to find a way to like it. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time studying it or writing an essay on it. And really, that carries over to what I do, because I don't always like what I see the first time. But I can work on it in my mind and with my imagination, and I can usually get to a place. Not all the time, but usually.
So is it easier or is it more difficult to play a character you don't like, that serial killer? You can't stand this guy. You hate everything he stands for, but you have to become him to be able to complete the task. Is that easier or is it more difficult?
It's actually easier.
Why?
Because it's built in for you. And you don't get caught up in, this is morally wrong. You get caught up in the fun of it. So often in my career, I'm asked to play the nice teacher, the good guy. What was wonderful about Nip Tuck is that I was the good guy, but I really wasn't.
Right.
There's ambiguity. But a lot of times I'm asked to play a decent person, as in Heated Rivalry. You have to admit, this is a pretty nice guy, right? When you play, like in The Stepfather, that was just fun right from the beginning. I could embrace, sides of me that I can't show in those other roles, a flash of anger or something kind of an odd, something odd that could be interpreted as evil. I had a lot of fun with that particular role and others that I played on SVU because it's all built in, and right from the beginning, you go against it. You go against the grain. You find, okay, how is this guy charming? How is he disarming? How is he kind?
Yeah.
And then the script takes care of the other part. It's fun.
Well, you can catch season 1 episodes right now of Heated Rivalry on HBO Max. Season 2 is in the pipeline. Be on the lookout as well for 21 Down. Someone once called James Brown the hardest working man in show business. Perhaps it's time to call Dylan that as well. Dylan Walsh, I've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for joining us here in Chatterbinge.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Ed Kalegi.
This is Chatterbinge.
And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can always catch our best guest conversations and segments right here on the YouTube home of Chatterbinge.